Hi, thank you for joining us on this episode of Sports Bets for Free. My name is Scott Jenkins, your host, just a local sports bettor here in Phoenix, Arizona. And hopefully today with our picks and your picks, it's going to be another profitable day for you. January 20th, Saturday, January 20th, NBA and college bets. Sorry we're a little late to get on the air here, but we did play some college games, so hopefully you're following along on the Google Sheets and see how we've done. We had St. John's, Texas, and Seton Hall. Looks like we're going to get some first half wins and not a lot of else on there. Maybe Texas pulls that out there to salvage that game there. So we will get on to the NBA slate. Quite a few games going on. So it looks like we've got, about 9-10 games going on today. We'll get into the first one. It's an afternoon game, the afternoon slate. Bucks at the Pistons. Somewhere between 13.5, 14.5 point spread, depending on what book you're at. Total around 245. Giannis decides he's going to play today. I'm not sure why. If your shoulder was hurt in the last game, why play against the Pistons? But he comes back, and all of a sudden it gets better for us because we like the Pistons. The Bucks, simply put, this is our angle for this game. The Bucks have not covered a double-digit spread all season, let alone on the road. Yes, the Pistons are the Pistons. They have not been spectacular, but they have kept some games close. And 14 points is a hell of a lot of points. So the Bucks have been, how do I put this? There's some games that look spectacular. Like they beat the Celtics by 40 or 50. They just came out and bum rushed. But most games they don't do that. They're not super aggressive. They don't know. It's like Giannis wants to give the ball to Lillard. Lillard wants to give the ball to Giannis. And nothing really happens because they're not quite sure still how to play together, even though we're halfway through the season. And there's been some injuries with Lillard and stuff like that. And then they can't figure out how to use Middleton at all, who definitely is third piece and definitely a shooter. But they don't, if Giannis is going to dive to the cup, then Chris needs to spot up for threes. Same thing with Lillard. Give him multiple options. Have him run the point instead of Lillard running the point. So it's very confusing to watch this Bucks offense, to be really honest. You would think that this thing would be better. It was better with Jrue Holiday because there was a definite identity on what they were doing, and they played defense. They don't play any. Damian Lillard, I thought, was an average defender. He is well below. So he gets blown away every day. Nothing ever changes there. So that's kind of what the Bucs season has been about. Now, that being said, they have a ton of wins, but they don't cover. They're horrible against the spread. They're not the worst team. The Hawks are, but, they don't cover. They get these big point spreads, and they don't come home. But they cover on these little tiny point spreads and blow teams out. So we're just going to ride with the trend that they haven't covered a double-digit spread all season long and keep rolling with that. So we'll take the Pistons plus 4.5 first quarter, plus 8 first half, plus 14.5 for the game. Excuse me. We do like Jaden Ivey, though, to get over 20.5 points. And Giannis over 2.5 turnovers. I feel like that's a gift at only 2.5. He's normally good for 4 a game on that one. So Pistons plus 4.5 first quarter, plus 8 first half, plus 14.5 for the game. Jaden Ivey, who's been their scorer ever since Cade Cunningham went out, over 20.5 points. Giannis over 2.5 turnovers. Next game up, 76ers at the Hornets. 76ers somewhere around 10.5, 11-point favorite in Charlotte. Both teams coming off a back-to-back. Hornets win against the Spurs yesterday. 76ers, a nice win against the Magic. But back-to-back road games, a lot more difficult than back-to-back home games. Here's the thing. We're not going to play a side or a total on this one. I think this game ends around 10-12, to be really honest. In the total of 228, it all depends if Charlotte's going to make baskets or not. I think the 76ers are going to put up there close to 120 points. So if Charlotte's going to if they put up a $110, which is definitely possible, with them, especially with LaMelo back, as he makes a huge difference for that offense, it could be real tight to the number and real tight to the total. So we're going to just focus on player props in this particular game. We're going to go Joel Embiid first, over 35.5 points. Right now, I don't know if anybody is he's just ridiculous. He's scoring almost 20 in the first quarter. I know Devin Booker had 25 in the first quarter yesterday for the Suns, but Embiid's been a monster. The Hornets do not have an answer for him. I expect them to feed him the ball all damn game long. And if they decide to triple team him, then it's time for Maxey and Tobias Harris to make their magic happen. But we love Embiid over 35.5 points. We also, and over 1.5 blocks for Embiid as well. We'll go back. He didn't get it last night. We expected to get him tonight. But we also love Melo in this game, obviously. LaMelo Ball over 23.5 points, over 3.5 three-pointers, over 6.5 assists. So one more time in this Philly-Charlotte game, give us Embiid over 35.5 points, LaMelo Ball over 23.5 points, LaMelo Ball over 3.5 threes and over 6.5 assists, and Embiid with over 1.5 blocks. Next game up, Spurs at the Wizards. Spurs 2.5-point dog. Nope, I understand it's the Wizards. The Spurs are just as bad. This game is a coin flip. 241.5 total. A lot of the Wizards games have been going under as of late. We're not going to play the under here. We're just going to be on props. And they're all Wemby related, of course, because when Wemby's in, we're in. Whether it's overs or unders against, Forum or Fade or Follow, we're going to be on Wemby probably most of the season when he plays. So over 21.5 points, over 1.5 threes, that is plus money on DraftKings. Over 35.5 par, over 2.5 blocks, over 2.5 turnovers for Wemby as well. I still can't believe it's at 2.5, even though it is heavily juiced, minus 160-ish. So one more time, Spurs, Wizards, Wemby over 21.5 points, over 1.5 threes, over 35.5 par. That's points, assists, rebounds combined, over 2.5 blocks, and over 2.5 turnovers. Next game up, Raptors at the Knicks. Obviously, you got Quickly and Barrett, who are going against their former teams. They just got traded a few weeks ago. Going against Knicks, OG Anunoby, or I can't ever pronounce that guy's name. He's a good ball player, but is he? He's not a scoring machine. He's good defensively, but he's a nice piece. But he's not a star. I don't believe so. Anyway, so I think he's just like a third piece. He plays better defense than RJ Barrett, so I guess if they want to be more defensive-minded, I can understand that trade. I did like Quickly on that team that was backup point guard, but he's kind of flourishing a little bit in Toronto. Scotty Barnes, if you don't know who he is, he's a real star. He's just not going to get much notoriety being up in Toronto. I think the Raptors have been playing a little bit better as of late, and they've been close to the number, covering some numbers. And I don't know how you don't like them getting 7.5 here. I understand the Knicks have played well. A lot of that's due to Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson's a star in this league, no question about it. Julius Randle, in my opinion, is the most overrated player in the NBA. I think he can't handle the ball. Every shot he takes looks like, a Herculean effort to get it off. No shot is pure with him. It seems like it bounces around the rim or the backboard. I'm not a fan of Randle at all. Now, Randle has some nights where he scores 30-plus points. It's not very often, but he does. He's normally, mid-teens to mid-20s, somewhere in that range. Mid-teens on an off night, mid-20s on a good night. But like I said, I didn't really understand the trade much. Besides RJ Barrett maybe wasn't really fitting, and they wanted more defensive-minded. But without Mitchell Robinson, I don't know if this team should have been worried about scoring more than it should have been about defense. Without Mitchell Robinson, they have nobody really there to protect the paint much. Isaiah Hartenstein is a fabulous rebounder, but he is not a shot blocker, and he's not a rim protector. Therefore, we like the Raptors in this game. We think the Raptors can do quite a few different things here. And even if they don't win, I think this game's relatively close going to the fourth quarter, and that 7.5 is going to come in huge. So Raptors +2 first quarter. Raptors +4 first half. Raptors +7.5 for the game. Like we mentioned, Scotty Barnes, we're going over 19.5 points, over 1.5 three-pointers made, over 31.5 par, and Julius Randle under 41.5 par, and Randle over 3.5 turnovers. Like we mentioned, Randle can get you 20 and 10, but 41.5 par, we're going to bet that under every freaking night. I don't care what team they're playing. So Raptors +2 first quarter, +4 first half, +7.5 for the game. Barnes over 19.5 points, over 1.5 threes, and over 31.5 par. And then Julius Randle for the Knicks under 41.5 par and over 3.5 turnovers. Next game up, Cavs at the Hawks. This line has moved. It was 2, now it's 3. Most spots, 229 total. Hawks actually cover a game last night. They're the worst team against the spread in the league. The Cavs have been playing really well, kind of unnoticed with all the other, Celtics been playing awesome. They finally lose at home. The Timberwolves and the Thunder have been playing awesome. The Cavs have kind of flown under the radar, so to speak. Jarrett Allen, ever since Evan Mobley has come out, has really set his foot in there, is that he is a permanent fixture in that. And then Mobley can kind of move away from the 5, play more of the 4. When he gets back, they have excellent interior defense. But the Cavs have been playing really well. And the Hawks are not good. They cannot figure out, ever since this DeJounte Murray trade, which I thought was going to be a fabulous trade, you move Trae Young to more of a 2 spot. These guys can't understand how to kind of be cohesive together. Who's going to handle the ball? It looks like the Celtics with Brown and Tatum, if you watch those two, on the nights they struggle, this is what this team looks like all the time, but with Murray and Trae Young. So we're going to take the Cavs -1 first quarter, -1 first half, -2.5 for the game. Jarrett Allen over 17.5 points, over 12.5 rebounds, over 30.5 par. They obviously do not expect him to get an assist in that one there. So one more time, Cavs, Hawks. Cavs -1 first quarter, -1 first half, -2.5 for the game. Jarrett Allen over 17.5 points, over 12.5 rebounds, over 30.5 par. Next game up is going to be Jazz Rockets. Rockets 2-point home favorite. Jazz been one of the hottest teams in the league over the last 10, 12 games. 234 total. Rockets have been really good at home, though. I will say that. That's why we're going to kind of stay away from this game, or the side, I should say, in total. Should be a really good, probably competitive game, though. One of the smallest spreads on the board. But we are playing quite a few player props in this one, so we'll get to those. Sengun, under 23.5 points for the Rockets. Under 38.5 par. He's not a rebounder. Like, if he gets 9 rebounds, that's a really good night for him. So, and his par's 38.5. So, you expect for him to hit over 24 and 9 is 33. He'd have to have 6 assists, too. He's not a triple-double threat. So, Sengun under 23.5 points, under 38.5 par. We're also going to hit him for over 2.5 turnovers. That is extremely heavily juiced. If you're not comfortable there, completely understand, but he's normally good for 3-4 turnovers a night without blinking too much. Marketing over 24.5 points, over 2.5 threes, and over 36.5 par. And then the Rockets under the 117.5 team total. Normally at home, they don't score a heck of a whole lot. Or not, they don't put that 120 plus point up. It's not that Jazz have great defense here. It's just normally these games are a little slower paced when they're at home. So Sengun under 23.5 points, under 38.5 par, over 2.5 turnovers. Marketing over 36.5 par, over 24.5 points, over 2.5 threes, and the Rockets under the 117.5 team total. Now, next game up, game we kind of definitely got our eye on. Thunder, T-Wolves. T-Wolves 3-point home favorite, 229.5 total. These teams have split the first 2 games against each other. T-Wolves won at home, Thunder won at home. So we're just going to ride with the home team on this particular one. Thunder are, I think, a little bit more offensively skilled. T-Wolves definitely have a better defense. But if SGA doesn't have a monster and Chet Holmgren really doesn't have a monster, this team normally doesn't win. Jalen Williams and all them are nice pieces when they're hitting threes. That's nice to have, but really Holmgren and SGA are the kind of ones that stir the drink for the Thunder. Now, when we get to the Timberwolves size, it's AE and then everybody else. But Towns is a good threat all the way around. A great rim runner and Rudy Gobert. Jay McDaniels can hit occasional 3. But AE is definitely the one that makes it roll for the T-Wolves in this one. But since we're rolling with the home teams, our home team in this particular series here, so T-Wolves -1 first quarter, -1.5 first half, -3 for the game. Anthony Edwards over 27.5 points, over 2.5 threes, and over 37.5 par. Chet Holmgren under 16.5 points, under 1.5 threes, under 26.5 par. SGA over under 1.5 steals. As he's been getting he was leading the league with like 3.5 steals a game. If you really watch his last couple of weeks, it's been 1 steal a game from him. So we'll try to snag that at plus money on FanDuel there. Chet Holmgren over 2.5 blocks and Rudy Gobert over 2.5 blocks. I checked blocks on a lot of sites today. DraftKings had the best. These guys were in the plus 130 range, where a lot of times they were close to even money. So make sure you check that out if you're playing those blocks. SGA over 2.5 turnovers and Chet Holmgren over 1.5 turnovers. So a lot of bets in this game. We'll go through it one more time. T-Wolves -1 first quarter, -1.5 first half, -3 for the game. Anthony Edwards over 27.5 points, over 2.5 threes, over 37.5 par. And then we're going to get Chet Holmgren under 16.5 points, under 1.5 threes, under 26.5 par, over 2.5 blocks, and over 1.5 turnovers. Then we're going to get SGA under 1.5 steals, SGA over 2.5 turnovers in that particular matchup. And then we'll get to the next game on the board. Going to be Grizzlies Bulls. Grizzlies have been an irritant, to say the least, for most teams. They can't seem to close them out, put them away here lately. Ever since John Morant and Bane went out, Jared Jackson's really stepped up his game quite a bit. I'm kind of surprised, to be really honest. I didn't know if he had it in him or not, but he has played pretty well. Luke Kennard's been playing a lot. He's been involved in a lot of the offense. Bulls. What are we going to say about the Bulls? Kobe White has had a much better season than what he's done the last couple. So like what he's done, Vucevic has been solid. DeRozan's been okay. Zach LaVine, you can't ever find in the lineup. I believe he's out again today. So we do like the Bulls here, but we're not going to play a side or total here. We think the Bulls are going to win. I just don't know if they're going to have enough in the tank to cover. But we do Vucevic over 19.5 points and over 12.5 rebounds. Then we like Kobe White quite a bit in this game, over 22.5 points, over 2.5 threes, and over 33.5 par. And then we like Jared Jackson under 1.5 blocks and over 2.5 turnovers, and Kobe White under 2.5 turnovers as well. And then Bulls over the 112.5 team total. So we'll get through this one more time. Vucevic over 19.5 points, over 12.5 rebounds. Kobe White over 22.5 points, over 2.5 threes, over 33.5 par, and under 2.5 turnovers. Jared Jackson under 1.5 blocks. That was even money on DraftKings on that one. And then over 2.5 turnovers. And then Bulls over the 112.5 team total. I think the game could go over. Like I said, the Grizzlies have been kind of an irritant at best, but their team total is like right around 104. Not real comfortable betting either side of that. I can see them scoring in the 90s or scoring 112. I just think the Bulls are going to have enough firepower to get this game over with. Like I mentioned before, make sure you are checking out in every episode that we do and show that we do. In the comments section, there will be a link to our Google Sheet, which is a ledger of all of our bets. It goes docs.google.spreadsheet and a bunch of other stuff behind it. That'll get you right in. There's 4 sets of sheets at the moment. We've got the football and baseball from the last seasons. Football this season, so if you like betting across multiple sports, we've got NFL not wild card weekend. We have divisional round weekend going on. Obviously, you can check those out. Make sure you get a chance to look at those. And then, of course, all the basketball bets that we have going on today. Also, you can see what we've done all season long. Basketball, we've had a monster run. If you're betting sports, I will tell you this. The NFL is the most bet sport in all of America. Therefore, the books are the most dialed in on that sport. Not saying we don't bet it. We bet it heavy. But it is the most difficult sport really to make money at. If you look at basketball, especially we focus a little bit more on the NBA, but we bet college basketball as well. We're just real picky on spots on those there. So, but if you really look at it, baseball and basketball much easier to make money on long term than the football. It's just you're going to have more losing weeks with football than you are necessarily losing. We don't really have losing weeks with basketball or baseball. We might have losing days. We definitely have those, but we don't have losing weeks. So just, there's a little bit less to bet on, maybe football-wise, but it is the most dialed in. You'll watch more things on the hook or right around the area. They seem to have just a little bit more dialed in. That's fine. I just think there's a lot of opportunities in the NBA. So if you're just a football bettor and you're kind of looking to get into basketball betting because there's something going on every day except maybe once a week, feel free to pop those in. We've laid out the blueprint on how we make money. We realize probably most people aren't going to bet the volume of bets that we do. That's understandable. Just find the ones you like, match them up with your bets, and like I said, give you that ton of confidence heading to the betting app or betting window. And as always, if you could subscribe and get notifications to our YouTube channel, so when we drop a new episode of bets, you get those first. Makes life really simple. Once you hit that subscribe button and turn notifications on YouTube, you'll get the notification to your phone or device to let you know Sports Bets for Free has dropped some new bets. and give you plenty of time to match those up with your bets. And like I mentioned before, give you that ton of confidence heading to the betting app or betting window. I do appreciate everybody's support as always, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.